Hello and welcome to My Aesthetic is Witchy. So today this is going to be a video where we analyze Lady Gaga's most recent single, Abracadabra. As I'm sure you know, there is a lot of very magical references, magical sounding references in this song. So we are going to look at it from that angle, from a more occult and esoteric angle. Whether or not what I'm about to say is exactly what Lady Gaga intended, I do not know personally. However, it is just fun to look at it and see how it relates to many mystical traditions. And please let me know what you think in the comments. Do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you think it's something completely different? What does the song mean to you? Perhaps it means something different for everyone. And on that note, let us begin and take a look at the song. Okay, so before we begin, let us discuss what does abracadabra actually mean. So abracadabra is probably one of the most famous magical incantations, along with hocus pocus. But what most people don't seem to realize is that it is actually a genuine magical spell that was used in history. So abracadabra could either be Hebrew or Aramaic, which are both Semitic languages. So there's a Hebrew phrase that could mean I will create as I speak, or the Aramaic could be I create like the word. Aramaic, by the way, is probably the language that was spoken by Jesus Christ as a first language. So whether it is I will create as I speak or I create like the word, they both kind of conjure up a very similar meaning. That is manifestation. What I perceive in my mind, I will speak and I will therefore create and make into physical reality. That is the basis of most spells and most magic work. So let's look at the song itself. Just by looking at the music video alone, we can see that there is a very strong contrast between the darker, more intense red side and the lighter white side. Red and white are often very frequently seen in a lot of magic traditions. White is often seen as a symbol of purity, of innocence, of initiation, whereas red can be seen as the color of blood, the color of fire, which are often invoked as part of that initiation ritual. So going from the novice and into the master. Red and white are also very frequently seen in Abrahamic traditions as symbolizing heaven and hell. White seeing as referencing angels and heaven and God, whereas red seeing as the symbol of the devil, of hell, and the demons. In many magical and occult traditions, there is a strong emphasis on confronting your own demons, your own darkness, in order to move forwards into the light. And this seems to be a very strong imagery within the song. So the introduction, we have abracadabra, told in an almost ritual-like way, which is something that Lady Gaga does frequently. It has become somewhat of a signature of hers, and it definitely feels like she is casting some kind of incantation, some kind of magical spell as she's doing this. We are almost entering a ritual of sorts in order to get what we would like to have in our lives. So verse 1, pay the toll to the angels, drawing circles in the clouds. Keep your mind on the distance when the devil turns around. So right from the very beginning, from the very first verse, we see very clearly, very strongly this imagery, this contrast of angels and of devils. We know that this is all about the light and the dark coming together. We are embracing both of them. Pay the toll to the angels, drawing circles in the clouds. This does sound very much like a guardian angel. The whole idea of guardian angels features very strongly in a lot of traditions, especially in Christianity, but also in a lot of more New Age, occult, or magical traditions. Very many magical practitioners call upon their guardian angels to assist them and to help them. Here we are paying a toll, that is, we are thanking them, we are giving them what they are due because they have been helping us. Keep your mind on the distance when the devil turns around. This kind of implies some form of determination. Keep your mind on the distance. We are on some kind of journey, potentially a spiritual journey or an internal journey, even a physical journey. But there is some journey being taken here. This calls to mind the Chariot tarot card, which is all about undertaking an important journey, which could be internal or external. So when the devil turns around, so when our own little demons try to tell us something, we keep our minds focused. Lady Gaga herself said that this is a song about that internal voice that is telling us that we cannot do something, or making us question whether we can do something. Here we are trying to stay focused on the distance, focus on our goal, on where we want to get to when we get those voices, those little questions inside. So the refrain, hold me in your heart tonight, in the magic of the dark moonlight, save me from this empty fight in the game of life. So hold me in your heart tonight. The heart space is something that is very important in multiple magical traditions. We know through yogic traditions, the heart chakra is a very important part of our human being. It is often seen by many as the center of ourselves, as the center of our universe. The heart space also conjures to mind Jesus Christ, who is someone who very much teaches from the heart space. Also in Buddhism, we have the Heart Sutra, which is one of the most important and famous sutras of Buddhism. And what it teaches is that we must live through our heart. That is, we must live through unconditional love for ourselves, unconditional love for all beings in our lives, and unconditional love for all living creatures and for the whole entire universe. Multiple magical traditions emphasize the heart space, emphasize unconditional love as the way forwards, as the way to ascend. This is the key to spiritual ascension. The center of the universe is love. The center of God is love. God is made of love. This is something that is ubiquitous across multiple magical traditions. Here we hear the magic of the dark moonlight. Obviously the word magic is there. That's lovely to hear. Dark moonlight. Well, first of all, dark moonlight. How can the moonlight be dark? The moonlight is light in the dark. So this is in my opinion, a very beautiful contrast here. The contrast between the dark and the light. The moonlight is seen as a beautiful silvery white light in the darkness of the night. But here the moonlight itself is dark. She's playing very much with the contrast between dark and light. And instead of presenting it in a dualistic way, she's here presenting it as one. They are together. We must unite our dark and our light sides in order to be whole. That is how soul unity can be achieved, is through understanding our shadow, understanding our darker side, and realizing it is not so dark. It is actually an important part of us. It is something that we can learn to control with unconditional love. We can learn to move through it and into the light. We move through the darkness towards the light. The moon is extremely important in multiple magical traditions. The moon features heavily in a lot of witchcraft. A lot of practitioners of magic follow the moon phases or will speak to the moon. A lot of us will regard the moon as our mother. The moon is an important figure in so much magic. The moon is also important in a lot of religious traditions. For example, in Catholicism, the moon is associated very heavily with the Virgin Mary. And we see a lot of Catholic symbols in multiple Lady Gaga songs, including references to the Virgin Mary, who is seen by Catholics as a mother, the most important figure alongside with God. And the reason why she is seen represented frequently by the moon is because the moon reflects the light of the sun, i.e. the light of God. The Virgin Mary is seen as the reflection of the light of God. We also see the moon as the symbol of Islam, and that is a very strong tradition there. But we also see it in Buddhism. Most of the Buddha's significant events, that is significant life events, occurred during a full moon. So the moon is a very important figure here. So, save me from this empty fight in the game of life. So there is some kind of a battle here. There is some kind of journey. The game of life. Is it a game? Is it a battle? This does sound like some kind of spiritual battle, some spiritual undertaking. Again, sometimes we have to undergo this darkness in order to reach the light, in order to reach ascension. Okay, so pre-chorus. Like a poem said by a lady in red, you hear the last few words of your life. With a haunting dance, now you're both in a trance. It's time to cast your spell on the night. So the lady in red, Lady Gaga herself has said that the lady in red represents this internal voice that is asking us these doubting questions. Can you really do that? Should you do that? Are you capable? And she says the song is about overcoming that or working through that. So this could be our shadow, once again, our shadow self, our dark side, casting these doubts on us. Why should we do that? Why can you do that? It's not so much a question of ignoring these questions. It is more a question of confronting them and facing them. This is what a lot of shadow work is about. Asking ourselves, why do we have this inner voice? Why is there this side of us who is asking these debilitating questions? by trying to confront that, meeting that shadow, we can overcome those doubts and move forwards. We see here, you hear the last few words of your life. This is a very strong reference to our death, the last few words, the last few moments of our life. This could be a near-death experience where a lot of people report seeing their life flash back before them. But here we are seeing very strongly, and we'll see again in the song, a lot of death symbolism. Death is seen in a lot of traditions as an important transformational process. We see this with the death tarot card. It's not necessarily a physical death, but it is a death of something within us or within our lives, something that needs to go, something that might be holding us back. We can remove it and we can transform through the process. Sometimes it is painful, but it is often necessary for us to grow, for us to move forwards in our spiritual journey. In Christianity, which again is referenced very frequently here, Jesus Christ dies for 3 days. Some traditions say he goes down into hell to free people and then comes back on the 3rd day. So with a haunting dance, now you're both in a trance. Earlier we saw with her chanting the word abracadabra that it felt like just like a trance, like some kind of ritual. Like she's overcome with spiritual or divine ecstasy. Many magical traditions, many spiritual traditions involve someone entering a trance-like state. This could be achieved through music, such as tribal drums. This could be achieved through ingesting substances. But the point here is that we are entering a different mindset, known as the alpha wave mindset. This is believed to be the optimal mindset for psychic vision, for seeing alternate dimensions. With a haunting dance, we're doing this dance, this tribal dance together, and we're both in a trance. It is time to cast your spell on the night. We have entered this trance. We are now ready to cast our spell. At nighttime, perhaps with that dark moonlight, we want to achieve our manifestation. Also, as a quick side note, this part of the song actually follows the same tune as Spellbound by Susie and the Banshees. This song is actually considered one of the pioneer songs of the goth genre, the goth music genre, and it is full of a lot of witchy symbolism, as is the music video, which I would thoroughly recommend you go watch. Now we get to the chorus. Abracadabra, amor unana, abracadabra morta u Gaga. Amor means love, and morta means death. We saw these references earlier, love and death, heart and death. Here they are being played for us once again. The importance of love and death in our spiritual ascension is being emphasized here. We must embrace that love, that death. Two things that are seen as light or dark, comfortable and uncomfortable. We are embracing both of them. They are both necessary. We must unite them. Rather than seeing light and dark as opposite ends of the spectrum, we must see them as intertwined, two sides of one coin. And then here she says very clearly, just in case we didn't understand the reference, in her tongue she said death or love tonight. In her tongue, i.e. in her language, she is saying love or death. But also speaking in tongues is something that we see in multiple spiritual traditions where people believe that they are channeling some kind of divine force or being or entity and are speaking in a divine language. Okay, the post-chorus, we have abracadabra again. And then the lyric, feel the beat under your feet, the floor is on fire, i.e. you are dancing, you can feel the beat under your feet, not necessarily from the side, but under, almost as though from under the ground, potentially from hell. As we see the floor is on fire, it conjures up that very strong hell imagery, but also it kind of shows the floor is on fire, the floor is so hot, you cannot keep your feet on it. You must continue to dance. Your feet are moving up and down, which is very much conjuring up an image of this ecstatic dance that we mentioned, this ritualistic dance, where you are so overcome with this divinity or this spiritual force, this passion, this love, that you cannot help but keep your feet up and dance like you are in a craze. We are doing some form of a ritual here. Okay, now we get to verse 2. Choose the road on the west side. So choose the road. We are on a road. Again, that's spiritual journey. We are undertaking something. But the west side, the west is a very interesting image here. The west is seen as the place where the sun sets, i.e. the end of the day, where the sun comes to die. The ancient Egyptians believed that every sunset, the sky goddess Nut would eat or swallow the sun god Ra, and thus creating the night, and that this would be once again renewed the next morning with the sunrise. So here we see that death symbol. We have entered the last stages of one cycle of our life, one day, if you will, because the days are just a cycle, and multiple spiritual traditions will emphasize that everything occurs in cycles: the seasons, the days, the moon cycles, the sun cycles. Here we are entering a death moment, and then tomorrow morning we will be made anew. We will be grown once again with a new cycle, and that will continue and continue as we grow. The ancient Egyptians emphasized the west side and would often place the cemeteries on the west side of the city, often outside the city walls. And these could quite frequently be seen as a place of darkness, sometimes of bad luck by some of the Romans. We also see the west side appearing in the Old Testament, where we have the tabernacle, which is a physical embodiment of God. It is a moving room that contains the physical presence of God. Of this, the west side was believed to be the most spiritually significant or the most holy. We see nowadays in Catholic churches that they all contain a tabernacle. This is a small little box, often covered in cloth, that is believed to hold the physical embodiment of God, that is the host. So as the dust flies, watch it burn. So the dust flies, could the dust be dust that is moving because we are moving so quickly, the dust flies? Or could the dust be ash from the fire? Watch it burn. We have this very strong fire symbol. The fire is seen as a transformative experience. The goddess Kali is believed to help us transform through death, through destruction, through divine fire. Followers of Kali believe that the fire, the divine fire, the Kalagni, is what transforms us and allows us to grow spiritually, allows us to ascend. Again, fire references hell. There's hell that we are going through on our journey, that we must go through. There's darkness we must go through in order to reach the light. But also fire is very significant for Lady Gaga, who is herself a fire sign. Her sun is in the sign of Aries. So fire plays a significant part in who she is and her life journey. So don't waste time on a feeling. Use your passion, no return. Use your passion to move you forwards. Don't return. You must keep your eyes fixed on the distance, on where you are going. This is your journey, your spiritual journey. Use your passion to guide you, but don't waste time on feelings that you might be having that might be holding you back. Again, these doubting feelings. Can you do this? Should you be doing this? Why are you doing this? We're not necessarily ignoring these feelings, but we're not necessarily dwelling on them. This is something that we see very frequently in Buddhism. Buddhism teaches us that our thoughts are like passing clouds. They pass through us. We can observe, but not necessarily dwell. Observe, but not focus. We don't want to fixate on those. We want to be detached from these thoughts. Allow them to pass, but don't allow them to hold us back. Okay, and so then we have more of the refrain and the pre-chorus and chorus all once again until we get to the bridge. So, phantom of the dance floor, come to me. Sing for me a sinful melody, and then some very beautiful melismatic vocals next. So, phantom of the dance floor, come to me. Who is this phantom? What is a phantom? Is it a ghost? Is it a spirit? If it is a ghost, this could again be this idea of death. Someone who's undergone a death experience. It could be an internal death that we experience multiple times in our lives. Kind of makes us into phantoms of sorts. Or could this phantom be a spirit, a divine spirit that we are channeling through this dance? Or perhaps it could be the Phantom of the Opera. So for anyone who is musical, such as Lady Gaga, the Phantom of the Opera is potentially an important musical. So in the Phantom of the Opera, Christine refers to the Phantom as her angel of music. So these are very interesting contrasting symbols, as a phantom is frequently seen as a symbol of death, as a dark symbol, whereas an angel is seen often as a symbol of heaven or life, a very light symbol. Here we are using a dark and a light together. We are combining them so that they are one. They're not necessarily contrasting, but they are unified together. And this shows this unification of light and dark. And she's asking it to come. She's beckoning it, calling it forwards to her. She wants to embrace it. Sing for me a sinful melody. What is this sinful melody? Are we trying to embrace something that is dark, that is evil? Or are we just accepting that there is a darkness that might be seen as sinful, but is just a normal part of being a human? What someone might regard as a terrible sin worthy of hell, others could regard as just a normal reaction from our shadow self, from our inner child, to something that has hurt us in the past. And this is the basis of a lot of shadow work, is understanding why we do these potentially bad acts or have these bad thoughts. We all have them. Why do we do them? Very frequently comes from some wound that we might have within us. And shadow work is about understanding and learning and accepting that wound and healing from it, ultimately. And that is the end of that video. Thank you very much once again for watching. Please do like, comment and subscribe. That would really help this channel out. We are a very small channel and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you very much and goodbye.